I have been talking about the FSB for years on this channel, and it's because this is one of those organizations that a lot of people actually don't pay close attention to. And being an XRP holder, this has been one of the organizations that I've been keeping a very close eye on over the years, because if we go all the way back to 2022, specifically December of 2022, this is prior to the big announcement in the summer of 2023 when we got XRP cleared as not a security in the court of law. Remember that Ripple was one of the few companies that were actually able to comment on global regulatory frameworks that is being drafted by the FSB back in December of 2022 in the middle of a lawsuit, and they were able to make recommendations on that harmonized framework for crypto regulations. And who is on the board of directors at the FSB? Gary Gensler. So this is exactly why I keep focusing on the FSB, and remember that they're actually working with the public and private sector, and they're also working with the BIS, the IMF, and a few other players on advancing cross-border payment efficiency to support the G20's overall goals to having efficient cross-border payments. But enough talk, let's actually get into the juiciness. So sit back, relax. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's dive on in to this post here from the FSB, which did say, we welcome the new private sector members joining our task force on legal, regulatory, and supervisory matters, and thank outgoing participants for their contribution to making cross-border payments faster, cheaper, and more transparent and more accessible. This is very interesting. And they also posted on March 1st, we recently renewed the composition of our task force on legal, regulatory, and supervisory matters, bringing together public and private sector experts to remove unnecessary frictions to cross-border payments. How interesting, right? Then, if we go over here to February 21st of this year, thematic peer review on FSB Global Regulatory Framework for Crypto Asset Activities. The FSB is committed to promoting implementation of the FSB's global regulatory framework for crypto assets and engaging beyond G20 jurisdictions. This will bring in that global crypto regulatory clarity that we have been asking for years. This is why the FSB is one of the most important organizations that everyone should be looking into. Now, also, their overall framework consists of two sets of high-level recommendations for the regulation, supervision, and oversight of crypto asset activities and markets, which is number one. And then number two is the global stablecoin arrangements. Now, we also do have some of the feedback from stakeholders on the following issues that they want to hear. Some of the stuff is like just decisions of crypto asset issuers and service providers, including stablecoin arrangements, to locate and structure their business, experiences and things like that. Just, overall main questions, or it's basically just like a survey, in my opinion. It's a questionnaire. But outside of that, we also got this, which was December 12th of last year, recommendations to promote alignment and interoperability across data frameworks related to cross-border payments, final report. Now, this is very interesting because, again, this is from the FSB, the same organization that is now fully focused on crypto asset regulatory frameworks. They have been for years now. But then they're also looking at cross-border payments. Now, keep that in mind, because that's two big things to focus on here in a second. And I'm going to really kind of tie it all together here in a moment. But here we have the transfer of data across borders is essential to the functioning of cross-border payment systems. Now, remember what I've said about data. What's addressing that data? ISO 20022. That is the big thing around this. And then when you actually make that data accessible, you can do that through a lot of these new technologies, these ledgers. Here we have, to help ensure that the recommendations are taken forward in a coordinated manner, the FSB will establish a forum on cross-border payments data, bringing together a diverse set of public sector stakeholders relevant to cross-border payments, including payments, AML, CFT, sanctions, and data privacy and protection experts. They are going to promote alignment and interoperability across data frameworks related to the cross-border payments fall into four broad categories. Number one is addressing uncertainty about how to balance regulatory and supervisory obligations, promoting the alignment and interoperability of regulatory and data requirements related to cross-border payments, mitigating restrictions on the flow of data related to payments across borders, and then reducing barriers to innovation. And then down here is the recommendations from the FSB, which you can kind of read into if you wanted to. It's basically just breaking down what their recommendations are around cross-border payments. But outside of this, they want to remove frictions. Now, how do they do that? Well, let's go over here to the actual announcement from February 20th of 2025. The Financial Stability Board appoints new members to its task force on legal, regulatory, and supervisory matters. This is that same group that's going to remove unnecessary frictions to cross-border payments. Okay, how are they going to do this? So the LRS task force in its new composition will continue to provide a forum for engagement between public and private sector experts to support the G20 roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments. Now, if we look into this, okay, they invited 12 new members. We don't know who those members are, but this task force will continue to work in close cooperation with the BIS. This is the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure's task force on cross-border payments interoperability and extension. Guys, the CPMI group from the BIS also announced back in January that they're taking new steps to boost ISO 20022 adoption for cross-border payments. The coordinated data requirements will be maintained until 2027, aligning with the G20 program. The same program, by the way, this is all around data. It's to support cross-border payments, specifically those data requirements behind it. Because again, if we go back over here, the big thing is the transfer of data across borders is essential to the functioning of the cross-border payment system. So now the CPMI group is a part of all of this, including this new task force to continue to provide a forum on engagement between public and private sector experts to support and ultimately achieve those goals that the G20 has outlined for cross-border payments. Why is this very important? Well, because also back in October of last year, the BIS put out interlinking fast payment systems could enhance cross-border payments. Again, they're focused on interoperability, specifically using application programming interfaces, APIs. Now, for a lot of you out there that don't know about the API side of things, Ripple actually offers a plug and play. It's a solution around their Ripple payments. And I would argue that Ripple custody also fits into that as well, because again, Ripple has been pushing APIs for years and years, because at the end of the day, APIs mean zero, absolutely zero IT involved. It's not extremely, rip and replace. No, it's plug and play. It's almost immediate being able to utilize those new technologies and those new solutions. But this is all to promote interoperability and also support the new data requirements around ISO 20022. And here we actually have how ISO standards could reshape cross-border payments. This was from December 20th of last year as well. Since the inception of global trade, the world's financial systems have largely talked past and around each other. Now, here we actually have that against this backdrop, the ISO 20022 messaging standard set for adoption this upcoming March of 2025 by the Federal Reserve Banks has emerged as a potentially transformative standard for improving data richness and fostering interoperability, reducing friction, and paving the way for innovations in the way money moves globally. Because ISO 20022 actually supports the new solutions like APIs, for example, to actually achieve much more innovation through technologies like AI, blockchain, DLT, digital currencies, digital assets, etc. And this is why we focus on all of these crucial pieces. Now, on top of all of this, here we actually have from the BIS, and a lot of you are probably new, so you don't know about this. And if you do, it doesn't matter, right? We're still going to go over it because this is very important, because what are we starting to see here? There's a pattern from the FSB. They're focused on data. They're focused on interoperability. They're focused on improving cross-border payments. Here we actually have from the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, harmonized ISO 20022 data requirements for enhancing cross-border payments, comments. So in March of 2023, the BIS on Payments and Market Infrastructure, the CPMI group, the same CPMI group that Ripple joined, right? They're a part of it, published a consultative report, ISO 20022 harmonization requirements for enhancing cross-border payments, and invited comments by May 31st of 2023. those individuals that were actually invited, here we actually have all of them. Do you see something interesting here? It's all major banks, all massive giant banks and major players. And oh, what is that? Ripple's on here. And so is XDC, Zinfin. Interesting. Ripple and Zinfin, the only two major players that are actually listed on here from the crypto space. The rest is all major banks. And by the way, take a look at all of the major players that are on this list in terms of those banks. BBVA, BNP Paribas, Deutsche Bank, HSBC. MasterCard as well. We could just kind of go down this list and just pick out all of the partnerships that Ripple also has in place, like even Societe Generale. I mean, it's kind of interesting. And then also Hedera has a lot of partnerships that are on this list as well, like Tata Consultancy Services, for an example. All right. You also have a few other additional players on here, like the IIF that Hedera is a part of. You also have up here the Australian Payments Network, Australian Payments Plus as well. Interesting. So again, you can kind of start to see the connections here. And then, of course, we did hear from the public policy at Ripple. Rahul Advani posted this on February 28th. This week's APAC Policy Digest highlights Ripple's participation in events hosted by Warren Beatty, AP, and also DEC Australia, Decentralized Australia. We also have regulatory updates from DigiFinance, all of these other big players. And then, of course, look at the bottom. The BIS, FATF, and the Financial Stability Board. Guys, when we go over here, okay, we could see what those updates were. Number one, the BIS, Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, the same group that Ripple is a part of, published a paper on interlinking fast payment systems to enhance cross-border payments. Interesting. And then the Financial Stability Board will commence a thematic peer review implementation of the FSB's global regulatory framework for crypto, which will extend beyond the G20 jurisdictions. Posted by a Ripple employee with all of these connections just, lining up perfectly for Ripple, huh? Very interesting. And also remember, from February 12th, big shout out to Subjective Views, Bretton Woods committee chair says progress on cross-border payments will cement the dollar as the key reserve currency. Does anyone know of an American company tackling this problem? Check it out.
New York Fed President Bill Dudley making the case for King Dollar in his latest Bloomberg opinion piece, writing the following: America derives immense benefits from the dollar's dominance, a position that countries such as China and Russia are seeking to contest. By addressing the problem of cross-border payments, the US could boost the global economy and cement its central role therein. Bill joins us now for more. Bill, welcome to the program. Lots of topics to cover. Let's kick off with this one right here. You started with a premise, so let's talk about it. The immense benefits from the dollar's dominance. Let's start there. But what are they?
Well, I think the dollar is the linchpin of global financial markets. So we get what's called the exorbitant privilege of people wanting to hold dollar-denominated assets. So that makes the cost of funding in the United States less than if the dollar was not viewed as the key currency in the global economy. But that's not necessarily ordained forever, and there are steps we can do to make that more likely to be sustained in the future. And one thing is to make some progress on cross-border payments. Payments cross-border are extremely expensive, especially for small retail payments like remittances. They cost maybe as much as 6-7%. This could be brought down tremendously if we developed instant payment systems nationally and then linked them together. A number of countries have good instant payment systems. Brazil, India, for example. The U.S. is basically nowhere. We have two systems, but nobody uses them. Everybody uses cards and debit cards, Venmo or PayPal. So we need to do something to reinvigorate the U.S. instant payment systems. And then once we have that, we need to start to take steps and to link it together with other instant payment systems around the world. If we do that, we can actually lower the cost of payments dramatically and cement the dollar as the key reserve currency.
Do you see the Fed actually getting on this in any capacity in the near term, considering that they have their hands full with their mandate and a lot of controversy around it?
Well, I think you need some support from the administration and Congress. The countries that have been successful in this have basically had mandates. They basically said you need to actually offer this service to your banking customers. In the United States, it's completely voluntary. And since it's completely voluntary, the two instant payment systems we have, FedNow and RTX, are basically not used by virtually anybody. So they exist. But if they're not used, then how can that be advantageous to link that into an international regime?
And again, every single major discussion that we have been hearing around cross-border payments has always been, how can we clear the obstacles to actually accept and adopt and implement these new technologies, specifically DLT blockchain, that is going to achieve the faster payments, achieve not only faster payments, cheaper payments, more transparent payments. I mean, all of this is aligning with the G20's goals. And I've always said that everything that we are seeing right now is all by plan. Why? Why did I say that? Well, it's because of the names, like the Financial Stability Board and what we have been seeing around Ripple. I mean, for years, we've been hearing all this drama about this SEC case, but they're allowed to comment on global harmonized frameworks for crypto regulatory clarity. And also, they're working with the BIS's CPMI group, which is also working on boosting ISO 20022 adoption for cross-border payments. They're trying to find a way to interlink fast payment systems to enhance cross-border payments. They're also looking into ISO standards on how to reshape cross-border payments. And I mean, like, all of this is tied back to one another, and Ripple is always on all of these documents. They're always included in all these major discussions. So you're trying to tell me that Ripple is a part of all these organizational, discussions and these major key groups like the CPMI group, for an example, but they're also in the middle of a lawsuit? You seriously can't make that stuff up. But with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.